morning, guys. We're over here in Nakusp at the Nakusp Municipal Campground, and we're kind of running a little bit late here. I'm frying up some potatoes. We're gonna head over to Sandon, the ghost town, today. So after we eat, we're gonna hit the road and go see a ghost town. Here, I'll show you the view here. Look at this park. It's beautiful, eh? Nakusp Municipal Campground. There's hardly anybody here. It is kind of off season now, though. But it's a beautiful day. Got some blue sky. It's super quiet here, too. Wow. I think there's 6 people live here. Billy. The lounge really good. Cool. Look at these buses. This old dump truck. Old Kenworth. Look at this. Oh. Stanley Park. First, Barbudas. Wow. I believe was the City Hall on the left right here. So apparently at one time the town was built right over top of the river. They had boardwalks and the road went over top. It was all wood here. And then at some point in time, they had a huge flood here, washed everything away. And that was it. They never rebuilt the town after that. Everybody left. So if you look at the buildings, I'll try to show you later. If you look at the buildings, the front of the building is on this side, not on the back side. It's over here. Because this was the boardwalk. I love these old trucks. A little chilly up here. Wow. Brill trolleys, Brills, okay. Welcome aboard. Oh, this is wow, it had many positions. Got a new speedometer. Probably when they, oh look at this, they put the clips here to tear off the ticket. Remember putting the money in there?
Mm-hmm. Getting my ticket.
Oh, and then he would push this and all the money would go down.
Yeah.
Not much to it. Been a long time since I was in one of these. And these buses, they were fast. They're electric, so they just instant torque. Look at this. Wow. So you pushed on the gate and the door would open. Winnipeg, Regina, Toronto. All across Canada. This was the little flyer they used to have, the buzzer. Very cool. Well, here's some more memorabilia. Oh, that's a dash. Neat. The driver's hat hook. All the tickets they used to tear off. Wow, this is fantastic. I'll let you read that. So the one we're on is a 1950 Brill trolley coach number 2201 from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Prospector's pick.
Yeah, I know it's another option.
Produce banks drive you crazy.
Oh, God, I know. Well, and now that we should look fingers.
Oh, wow.
Those ones have handles?
Yes.
Because sometimes if you pull one of the handles and hold.
So they'll be resold or something.
T-shirts.
We'll find out. But it's not actually connected to us per se. And even with us, we're separated with the museum.
The bus stuff.
So the museum is its own entity, so whatever you spend there. So it started back in 1891 when the first two prospectors, Eli Carpenter and Jack Seaton, found the first silver seam up on Payne Mountain up above us over that way.
How did they find a silver seam?
They were wandering through the mountains. And why would you be wandering through the mountains?
Looking for
to
silver.
Find something.
Yeah, gold or preferably gold.
Something, yes.
Yeah.
So they ended up taking some samples, took it down to Ainsworth Camp.
Okay.
And that's when they had discovered, yes, they have come across something that was worth something.
Yeah.
So anyways, they had, Eli Carpenter had grabbed 4 other guys because the 2 prospectors separated. The other one ended up taking off and going the other way from Nelson up. And Eli came with his group from the other direction up. And they got here first and started staking claims.
So that was 1891?
Yes.
Okay.
That's when that part started.
Yeah.
In 1892, this is the big discovery of the biggest piece of galena known.
What is galena?
A galena is a mixture of lead, zinc, and silver. I will show you some samples here in just a moment.
That's okay.
So
This is
galena here. And if you were to take a river rock in your hand, this is your river rock. I'll let you pass it around.
That's heavy.
But that's a river rock. This is a galena rock.
Holy. That's amazing.
Oh, it's like a meteorite.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
Iron.
it feels, yeah, it's quite heavy.
Wow, what a
compared to
difference.
what it was.
Wow.
Yes. So, of course, you crack that open and you'd see what would be on the inside. So here's some samples. And you know how it's nice and bright, shiny, flecks of silver?
Yeah.
That is a poor quality silver.
Is it?
Right? I know, I was shocked too. 'Cause I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty. This is the quality of silver you are looking for.
Oh, wow.
That is the purest that you can pretty much get right
So
there.
pretty.
Yeah.
Can I see?
Else. Of course.
Because the
You pass
granules
it
are
around
much
and
smaller, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
what they would do is run this to the concentrator mill, and it would take off all the junk, or they would grind it up into a powder, or make it into smaller rocks. They go in 100-pound sacks onto one of the 2 train lines that Sandon operated. And Sandon was very unique to have 2 train lines.
Yeah, I bet.
Yes.
And what were the 2 rail companies?
So the first one over here is the KNS, and it was a small gauge train that came in, and it ran from Caslow to Sandon, and it was a Northern Pacific line, so that's an American line.
Okay.
Sandon is very much Americanized. Actually, the Kootenai area is. If you take a look at Colorado and us here, you'll see very similar names of cities and towns and stuff like that. And then we had the Canadian Pacific Railway also that came up here, and that is his rail line right out here, our door. And it was a wide gauge, big train, much harder to get up here. CPR only does a 4% grade today. We're 6% grade coming up. So it actually had to cross over the creek 7 times.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So kind of a little switchbacking, right?
Yeah.
So back to this part, when they found this big piece here, it got sent around the world through the newspapers and stuff like that. So word really started to get out. Then this was 1895. This is the main street, which is on the other side of the creek, and that would have been the city street. And because the new train lines came in, now the people came in. This is the same street 1 year later.
Wow.
Right? This is got a picture of the packed horses coming in with the riders. So they'd come down for supplies and all that type of stuff. But Sandon also had 29 hotels. 28 of them had
29
saloons.
hotels?
29, yeah. 28 saloons. It's only one non-drinking hotel. A lot of businesses like doctors, brokers, like stuff like that, ran their businesses out of their hotel rooms. They didn't actually have storefronts, so you can tell that there was more hotels than there was actual stores and businesses.
Yeah.
We also had the biggest red light district known in Canada in its time, with 80 brothels around that and about 150 working ladies. And they weren't just any working ladies, they were tax-paying working ladies
Wow.
above the table, yes. So this is a nice overview of what Sandon looked like. There's the K&S Railway coming in this way, and it would actually go up to Cody, which is the next town up. It's also a ghost town now
That
too.
way?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then it would do a Y turn, so it'd have to back up and then come back down this way. Then you have the Canadian Pacific. Its last stop was Sandon. It did not go farther than here, and it had a turntable to get itself turned around to head back down.
Huh.
Sandon was also the very first fully electrified city in British Columbia. And this is your very first street lamp right there.
Wow.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Incredible. Where did they get the power from?
From
The creek, right there.
right, the power generating
That's
station.
right.
Not necessarily that one. I don't know which one was done the first.
Yeah.
But we do have the power generating station up there. It's 127 years old. You get a tour up there too.
Yeah, we're gonna go check it out for
Yes, and yeah, you'll hear all that history, and I'll leave all that to him.
Yeah,
And so I really love this picture. This gives you a very beautiful definition of what the city truly looked like.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is, unfortunately, I don't have a better picture of
Yeah.
this, but that is called the Rico Hotel.
Uh-huh.
And it cost $30,000 to build back in the day, and this is
Wow.
pre-1900.
And what year was it?
It was in like probably 1996, 97 time. Probably 96.
1896.
1896.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
we were just in Nakusp,
Yeah.
and they have the oldest hotel in British Columbia there. They said it was built in 1892.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So that was the Leyland?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what the sign said. I was reading that. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
See, you're teaching me something too, right? Yes. So, anyways, unfortunately, though, in 1900, Sandon saw its
Oh,
first
wow.
disaster, and it was the fire, and it took out the whole entire city. And the only building that was left behind was this livery barn where they kept horses.
Mm.
So Sandon already had fire hydrants and everything put in place at that time, but because the fire happened so fast, they had no time. The town was burning up, so it was just protect the horses and
Yeah.
just let it go. This is the day after, and you can tell the smoke hasn't settled or anything like that. And of course, they're probably just in awe.
Yeah.
And also going, okay, we need to rebuild. Like, we need to do something here. So what they did do was blow up the train station, the CPR train station that was there. They say it was for a fire break. But at the same time the fire was happening, there was a miners' strike going on against the CPR railway. Because the CPR, like I say, was a big train, so very hard to come up here, so it was charging more money to take stuff out of here. And then also the interesting part too is the K&S Railway had a liquor warehouse on the CPR side. And when you go up to the Powerhouse, that first building, that was the liquor warehouse.
Okay.
So just imagine if that fire did make it there, the explosion that
Oh,
would have
yeah.
caused, right?
It was the only one they were really worried about saving.
Right? Well, that was my thought too, right? So apparently the fire started outside the Opera House in a dumpster with a discarded like cigar or cigarette. But we honestly don't know the truth to how the fire started.
Yeah.
We do know though that this was what they built in 60 days, right in here.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. Mind you, you do not have any permits or anything like that you have to worry about. Foundations really weren't much either then.
Yeah.
And still some of the buildings most definitely weren't completed at that point. So this was the original city road right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are moved over to here. And this is a boardwalk that they had built, and it has a flume underneath it, and it goes over top of the creek. So they had already started building the flume before the fire, due to sanitation issues. The government was like, okay, you gotta deal with this. So that was what they decided was, let's do a flume. But the fire, creating the new town, they just all incorporated together. So here's your boardwalk, and then your new city is built facing it. So in this building alone, we are actually in the back of it. Your front would be that way. So when you go to the front, you can look along the side. You can see some of the old flume that used to
Oh,
be there.
excellent.
Especially up at the museum, I noticed you can see quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Here's part of the original flue, I think. Possibly. I would suspect.
Coming down, yes. And there's a nice little picture of the flume at the very bottom there, and off to New Denver it all went.
Yeah, because all the trash, everything went in it, right?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sewage.
I don't know about trash wise, but most definitely the sanitation.
Yeah.
Mess, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then into Slocan Lake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is 1905. This is kind of the start of the decline of Sandon. A lot of people were already starting to leave. Even when they rebuilt the city, they didn't build it as elaborate because people, like I said, were already starting to make their way out onto new money-finding adventures, I guess you can say. In 1942, there was about 50 Sandon residents that were living here at the time. And all of a sudden, 950 Japanese internees were brought here. So their living experience was very different here compared to most. The other places were all segregated. They were put outside of the communities in tar paper huts, kind of compounded, didn't have electricity or anything like that. And they were all based by religion at that time too. Sandon was chosen as the Buddhist religion. So hence I think why so many internees were coming up here. Or sorry, I should say coming. Sorry,
Yeah, they were
brought here.
forced
They
here,
didn't
right?
come here. And when they got here, the community's like, okay, well, we have these buildings, so you can live in the buildings. So they had hydro and a little bit of sanitation stuff and, you know, just places to live, right? A lot better conditions. This was the very first internee camp to shut down 2 years later due to the fact that the government saying it was costing too much money to keep sending them up and down on the CPR train. Because the Northern Pacific line stopped working in 1910. There was a fire that ran from New Denver to Caslow, and that's where the Valley of Ghosts name comes in. All the little mining communities along that route basically were burnt, right?
Yeah.
And then the train line, it has the Pane Bluffs. There's a famous picture of the train and some people on a trestle along a bluff. And when you go up to the Pane Bluffs today, you can still see the rails hanging where the trestles used to be. Yeah. So yes, after the whole internee time, in 1955, Sandon had the biggest washout / flood, and that was actually involving the boardwalk. So when they built the boardwalk, they did 90-degree angles in it. Well, everything was getting caught up in those corners and just got all bumped up. No one was cleaning it out. The water's like, I'm coming and I'm coming through now. And apparently it was like board by board, just up and just wiped it all out. But that was not the second one. They also had a washout in 1933. So we have the bottom picture there. And then another one recently in 2020, so it shows the resemblance of the two washouts in the same area.
Wow.
Okay. They also had an avalanche. I'm not sure what year that came through, but that also came into Sandon too.
It's
So, yeah, it
God's
was
way of
just-
saying, go live somewhere else.
right?
Must have been tough, right?
Exactly. So Sandon was very much a prominent city for its time, considering where it was located. When they were deciding which city was going to be capital of British Columbia, Sandon was put down to be one of the cities. So, yes.
Incredible.
And then it came down to New Westminster and Victoria, and of course Victoria won that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think James Douglas had something to do with that.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I think that's like a really good run
That's
through.
a great history,
of
man.
it.
Thank you so much.
If you have any questions or anything,
What's your name?
My name is Rene.
Renee.
Yes. Hi.
Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
Nan.
Pleasure to meet you. Hi. And I also have my YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Curly's on the Move.
What is it called?
Curly's on the
Curly's
Move.
on the Move. I'm
Yeah.
going to check it out.
Yes, so Curly '.
Okay.
Yeah. Here was built in 1900.
Yeah.
And it served as the city hall to start.
Oh.
And this basement part here is where the jail cell was, the fire, and the boiler room. And then the second floor is clerk's offices and police. The third floor was the judge's chambers and the courthouse.
Wow.
All right. So that went on until about 1920. And then it switched over to a schoolhouse. And it operated as that, I think, until 1950. And then it was an RCMP officer at that time, ended up living here for 5 years. And Yeah.
I guess they would need it with-
Greenhouse eventually.
How many hotels did you say were here?
Yeah.
29.
29.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd need the police here.
But there's only one actual stated murder in Sandon in all its time.
Okay.
Yes, several questionable lives taken
Yeah.
other ways by themselves, but
Yeah.
only one actual no murder. And shockingly, you'll never get. Well, actually, you might guess what it was all about.
A woman?
Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the brothel ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So, I was talking to Hal here, and he said that the creek that's here now originally ran through a flue, and they built the city over top of it, the flue. So it wasn't, you know, boardwalk going over top of the creek here. It was an actual, like a big giant culvert that they built. And then in 1950 something, there was a big giant flood and everything got washed away, and that was the end of this town. Never was rebuilt. This is the museum. Here's some of the original buildings. They're in very nice shape. What a gorgeous day. Houses over there.
I'm going to Powerhouse first and it's coming down.
So it was the K&S Railway ran along there. Caslow, I think Nakusp and Sandon Railway. And then this was the CPR Railway, Canadian Pacific. We've got a couple of old houses there. Probably built 1910, 1920-ish, I would suspect. And they're up the hill away from the big flood. And there, that's the Powerhouse. We're gonna go check it out. Look at all the old wood here. It's all decorative. Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, it's a gold mine there. This guy's got a tin roof. That's pretty awesome. God, it's so beautiful here. I just can't get over it. It smells like the forest. So this is one of British Columbia's first power stations here, I think. Are you Don?
I'm Don.
Hey Don, I'm Daryl.
Daryl, how you doing?
Are you the expert on the power station?
Well, what I don't know, I can BS so well you won't figure it out. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I video?
Oh, it sure is.
Okay, thanks Don. I have a question.
Yeah.
Was this one of BC's first power stations? Or the first?
Not the first.
No?
It was one of the earliest.
Yeah.
And it was Sandon was the first town to be fully electrified.
Yeah.
The powerhouse here though was built for a mine.
Okay.
There was 6, well I believe 7 of them built just for mines in the area. And then the town had their own powerhouse.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
originally we only had 2 creeks we could get water from.
Yeah.
So the reason you're going to see a diesel motor the very first thing is if the water got too low, you can't tell the miners to go home until it comes back.
Yeah.
So it was too low for the Pelton wheel, they used the diesel backup.
Oh, I see.
That was brought in, I believe, 1916.
Okay.
So it would be only used when the water was low. As soon as the water is up, save the diesel. And those 2 tanks there, those are the diesel storage tanks.
How did they get the diesel up here?
On the train.
On the train, of
Yeah,
course.
2 trains.
2
came in
trains.
here. The old wood stave pipe on the back wall is how the water got here for most of the first 100 years.
So it's not very big, is
But
it?
no, not really.
Like 2 feet?
And yeah, and those ones though have never been used. They've never had water in or out. They were in storage. When they finally realized they never were going to want to use them, they donated them to us. So
And that's wood.
that's
With
wood.
a wire
Yeah.
mesh or what? Wire rings to keep
Yeah.
it together.
That, I believe it's from Oregon, so that would be Western Red Cedar.
Oh,
The ones
wow.
they built in BC were Douglas fir.
Incredible.
Would you like some earmuffs? Okay. It's quieter when we get to the back here. It'll be
Okay.
better. So, you know the nice little multimeter electricians have?
Yes.
Well, there's the late 40s, early 50s version. So these are rechargeable batteries from 1900. Edison storage batteries.
Wow.
So rechargeable goes way back.
Yeah.
You hook it up to your lamp, put it on your belt. They were good for 12 hours. The shifts for 10 hours, so worked out nicely. These ones wouldn't recharge anymore, and this would have been at what we call the drive, where the miners were getting changed. You wouldn't have it up here. We just got it here so people could look at it. So,
That's unbelievable that they had rechargeable batteries in 1910?
1900.
1900.
If you-
Wow.
if you were
124
looking-
years ago.
If you look up Edison storage battery on the computer,
Yeah.
this is what you'll find.
Okay.
Not the line battery.
Yeah. There they are there.
So the Pelton wheel is in the big case back there.
Pelican wheel. Okay.
Yeah, Pelton.
Peloton.
P-E-L-T-O-N.
Oh, okay.
I keep going, I have to keep catching myself because quite often I'll say Peloton. It's not.
Okay.
So anyway, the flywheel next to it ran the compressor back there.
Okay.
The most important thing because most of your workers are underground using that air.
Yeah.
This is our Nikola Tesla generator right here. So in 1916 they upgraded from the original DC power to AC. As far as I understand, we were the only ones that did that.
What did you say that was called? A Tesla?
It's a Tesla generator.
Tesla generator.
Nikola Tesla
Yep.
is one invented AC, alternating current. So
Wow.
we upgraded, all these were originally DC.
Yeah.
Right on the far side over there, you see the black pipe?
Yes.
That's where all our water is coming into the wheel.
Oh, okay.
And then it all dumps out, it goes out there and makes that creek.
Okay.
And sometimes kids will ask me where the extra water is that's from in that creek, but it all gets through here.
Okay.
Come on this way. All the old switches and gauges are what I say functioning or functional. If the piece of machinery they were working with originally was working, they would be working. But things like right there, we have a rheostat in that light behind that window.
A real stop.
And that ran this generator here. It's a DC exciter. And in Tesla's original design, that had to always be belted up. You got a DC charge always going into the AC. Now, that's done off of the wheel beside it with buttons.
Okay.
So, we don't need to belt
So they've
this up,
upgraded it.
but it's still doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a small DC charge to keep everything lined up
Yeah.
in the AC. And that compressor ran everything underground. Even chainsaws for cutting timber. You don't want any gas fuel.
So all the tools were air tools.
Yeah.
And that's what this is for. It's to power the
Yeah.
and the
And
electricity.
the belt would have gone from that wheel to this one.
Okay.
The electricity was only used in the buildings, not underground, because there was too much water under there.
So this was the most important thing.
What's that? Oh yeah.
This was.
Yeah.
It was all about getting air into the mine.
Most of your workforce is working under there.
Yeah.
All their tools. And all that was good breathing air. So
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
this beautiful Blackstone.
It's a diesel generator.
Diesel motor for the generator.
Okay.
The generator's belted on back there.
Okay.
And you see that, what
Oh.
looks like a chain right there going up to the fan?
Yes.
That's leather link belt.
Oh.
Each one's little piece, real easy to fix, real
Yeah.
easy to lengthen, shorten. I don't think it'd take too much pressure, but that's van, if you went like this to it, it's gonna come back in 2 minutes and it's still moving. Three-wheeler, so.
Wow.
And they fire this up every year. If you remember Labor Day long weekend
Yeah.
on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the date, it's always that weekend, that Saturday. And it's partly for show and partly to make sure it still runs.
Yeah.
But you have to put that pin in one of these holes, give it a shove, maybe a few times, depending how cold it is. Then the air gets doing what the air has to do. It's an air assist start. And then it gets to where the diesel takes over and does all the work. The compressor has its own standalone motor right beside it. So that's the one they would have used behind. This
Yeah.
is the compressor they would have used to help get this started.
Okay. Because this doesn't look that old.
No, this would be
40s?
late 40s.
Yeah.
That's what this would be, is a late 40s. Because it was brought here in 51 or 52.
It looks so solid, eh?
Oh, it is. And it's still original paint, never been fixed. Because it never ran enough as a backup.
Yeah.
Never ran enough to burn the paint
So
off.
it's like new.
Yeah.
Oh, BC Equipment Company.
When you hear the term run of river,
Yeah.
that's what we have here. There's two ways to make power with water. Pressure or volume, dams or volume. Now, in this case, we now have 4 intakes, so the creek runs where it always did, but we divert a portion into this pipeline here. The two up there and the two up there, they join as quick as they can. By the time we get down here, we've got a 600-foot elevation drop.
Wow.
So on that pipe that I showed you, we have 240 PSI. A
Wow.
lot of head pressure.
Yeah.
Good for about 200, a little over 200 kilowatts, which is good to power, they tell me, about 400 homes. Very efficient use of a small amount of water.
Look at the mall. This thing is huge. This is CPR Locomotive 6947. What a place. So much history here. And the people are so nice. We have Vida in the coffee shop, Rene in the store, the general store, Rene in the general store, the fire hall, Don up on the hill there at the Powerhouse, Hal brought these buses here. Hal's lived here for 40 plus years. We've got 15 of those Brill trolley buses. One for each city in British Columbia that had them.